From Idea to Income. Mastering the Art of Value Creation. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take the moment and make it perfect. Zig Ziglar. You've had the idea. Maybe it struck during a commute, over coffee, or in the middle of a restless night. That flicker of inspiration, unexpected, energizing, undeniable. For a moment, it felt like everything aligned. This could be it, you thought. This could work, but then, life, doubt, distractions, questions with no clear answers. The idea gets tucked away into a notebook or buried beneath the someday stack in your mind. You're not alone. The world is full of people with great ideas that never made it past the thinking stage. Not because they lacked talent or drive, but because they didn't know how to turn that spark into something tangible, useful, and profitable. That's what this book is about. It's not another pep talk, and it's not just a business guide. This is a practical roadmap to help you master one skill that changes everything: value creation. The truth is, ideas are everywhere. What separates those who succeed from those who stall is the ability to take an idea and make it matter to someone else. That means solving real problems, creating real results, and getting your work into the hands of people who need it. Not someday, now. Inside these pages, you'll find a proven process, one that helps you identify what matters, build what helps, and deliver it in a way that earns attention, trust, and income. You'll learn how to start small, adapt quickly, and keep building momentum without needing a business degree, a big budget, or a viral breakthrough. No hype, no fluff, just honest, step-by-step guidance from spark to sale. If you've ever wondered why your ideas aren't generating traction, or if you're sitting on something powerful and just need to know where to start, this book is for you. Let's stop overthinking and start creating. Let's turn ideas into income. Chapter 1. Who are you creating for? Tyler had what he thought was $1 million idea. A sleek app that helped people track their personal habits with advanced analytics, AI-powered nudges, and even gamification. He poured 5 months and $12,000 of his savings into development. He launched with excitement and got 12 downloads, mostly from friends. The reviews were polite but passive. No traction. No income. Just radio silence. What went wrong? Tyler made the same mistake most creators make. He started with what he wanted to build instead of who he was building it for. When a new idea hits us, it's intoxicating. We feel clever, inspired, maybe even chosen. But the market doesn't care how brilliant your idea feels to you. It only cares about whether it solves something for them. That means the very first step toward income isn't your idea, it's the person on the other side of it. Imagine shouting into the void, hoping someone, somewhere, echoes back. That's what launching a product or service without a defined audience feels like. It's not that your idea is bad, it's that it's floating around with no one to land on. Value creation doesn't begin with your genius. It begins with your empathy. The simplest and most transformative question you can ask is, who is this for? Until you answer that, every decision you make will be based on assumptions. Your design choices, your messaging, your pricing, your marketing, it all rests on understanding the person you want to help. Without that clarity, you're guessing. And guesswork doesn't generate income, it burns time and confidence. Real value creation is not invention, it's translation. You are taking something from your mind and making it matter to someone else. That means tuning into their language, their frustrations, their dreams. You need to see the world through their eyes. What keeps them up at night? What do they daydream about on their commute? What makes them open their wallets, not once, but repeatedly? Start small. Picture one person. Give them a name, a job, a life. What's hard for them right now? What problem are they too busy or too overwhelmed to solve? What desire are they secretly carrying but haven't figured out how to reach? Don't think demographics, think psychographics. You're not just targeting 35-year-old professionals or college students with side hustles. You're targeting frustrated freelancers who feel stuck on pricing. You're targeting new moms who feel guilty about self-care. You're targeting burned-out managers who can't remember the last time they felt creative. Clarity here makes everything else easier. When you know exactly who you're serving, your offer becomes sharper, your message becomes clearer, and your confidence skyrockets. You're no longer throwing spaghetti at the wall, you're serving a plate of exactly what someone's been hungry for. Here's the irony: the more specific you get, the broader your appeal becomes. Why? Because specificity builds trust. When someone feels seen, they lean in. They don't just buy, they tell others. They become your advocates, your superfans. And that kind of trust can't be faked. It comes from knowing them better than they know themselves. So before you invest another minute in building, sketching, or dreaming, pause. Zoom out. Ask the most profitable question you'll ever ask. Who am I creating this for? If the answer is fuzzy, your income will be too. But if it's sharp, everything else, from your idea to your execution, will align with surprising speed. Your idea only becomes valuable when it matters to someone else. Clarity on your audience is the first and most important step. Specificity isn't limiting, it builds deeper, broader trust. Who specifically is struggling with the problem you're trying to solve, and how well do you understand their world? Interview or observe 3 real people who resemble your target audience. Ask them about their frustrations, goals, and what they wish existed. Listen more than you speak. Chapter 2. The Pain-Desire Spectrum. Sarah didn't think of herself as an entrepreneur. She just wanted a way to feed her picky toddler healthy food without a daily meltdown. In desperation, she started blending fruits and vegetables into colorful frozen pops. Her son devoured them. Then her neighbor asked for a batch. Then her friend's friend. 3 months later, Sarah had a full-time business selling Happy Pops online. She hadn't invented anything new, she had solved a specific frustration for a specific type of parent. Pain and desire. That's what every purchase boils down to. People don't buy features. They don't even buy benefits. They buy outcomes, emotional relief or emotional reward. Either they want to stop hurting, or they want to start feeling better. That's the spectrum, from pain to desire. And if your idea doesn't sit clearly on that line, it will be ignored, no matter how clever or beautiful it is. Too many creators build ideas that solve mild inconveniences. They're interesting, but not urgent. Think of pain and desire like volume knobs. If you want someone to pay attention, let alone pay money, you have to tune into what's loud in their life. What's keeping them from sleeping well? What are they venting about to friends? What feels just out of reach, if only they had the right tool, guide, or solution? Take streaming services, for example. Netflix doesn't sell entertainment. It sells escape after a stressful day. It sells relief from boredom. It sells convenience over decision fatigue. On the other end, Peloton doesn't just sell exercise equipment. It sells identity, progress, community, and the feeling of showing up for yourself. That's desire in action. It's emotional. It's personal. And it's powerful. Here's the secret most people miss: your idea doesn't need to solve world hunger. It just needs to hit home, deeply, specifically, repeatedly. That starts with listening. Scour Reddit threads, Amazon reviews, YouTube comments, anywhere people are talking freely about their struggles or goals. Notice the words they use. Not polished marketing lingo, raw, unfiltered frustration or yearning. Those phrases are gold. Use them. Don't assume what matters. Discover it. If you're solving a pain, make sure it's sharp. Vague frustration doesn't lead to action. But I waste 2 hours a night scrolling and feel like I'm falling behind. That's sharp. If you're targeting desire, make it vivid. Not just I want to make more money, but I want to finally quit my job and work from a cabin by the lake. Real emotions. Real hooks. The closer your idea aligns to a real pain or a real desire, the less you have to sell it. It resonates. People feel like you're reading their mind, and when people feel understood, they trust you. Trust leads to attention, then action, then advocacy. Sarah didn't start with a business plan. She started with empathy. She felt the problem herself, saw it in others, and responded with something small but meaningful. That's the art of value creation. Not making noise, but answering an existing cry. If your idea isn't sticking, it might not be wrong. It might just be sitting in the middle of the spectrum, where pain isn't pressing and desire isn't dazzling. Find the edge. That's where the energy lives, that's where income lives. People pay to escape pain or reach desire, nothing else. Real value lies in emotional clarity, not cleverness. The sharper the pain or more vivid the desire, the easier it is to create demand. Where does your idea land? On the pain side, the desire side, or awkwardly in the middle? How emotionally urgent is the problem you're solving? Find 5 real quotes from people expressing frustration or longing related to your idea. Use their language, not yours, to refine your offer. Chapter 3. Designing the Transformation. Mike had built websites for years. Technically excellent, visually clean, mobile-friendly, everything his clients asked for. But something was off. They weren't referring others, they weren't raving. Some even asked for discounts. Then one day, a client casually mentioned, "What I really needed was a site that made people trust me enough to call." That hit Mike like a truck. He was delivering websites. But clients were hiring him for transformation, from invisible to credible. People don't pay for things, they pay for change. This is the heart of value creation. Your product, service, or content is simply a vehicle. What matters is where it takes someone. Most creators focus on features, what it does, how it works, why it's cool, but the real gold lies in the before and after. Before your thing, your audience feels stuck, frustrated, or hungry for something more. After, they feel relieved, empowered, elevated. That shift is the transformation. It's what sells. It's what spreads. If you want your idea to generate income, don't just ask, "What am I offering?" Ask, "Who is my audience becoming after they experience this?" Clarity is everything here. If you can't articulate the transformation clearly, neither can your audience. That's when they scroll past. But when they can picture the after, the better, stronger, freer version of themselves, they lean in. The sharper that vision, the more value they assign to it, and the more they're willing to pay. Transformation also answers an unspoken question: is this worth it? Time, money, attention, all come with a cost. The clearer the outcome, the easier it is for your audience to say yes. They don't want vague promises. They want a believable path to a better state. So give it to them. Map it out. Start with where your audience is now. Be specific. What are they feeling, fearing, missing? Then define the destination. What do they have? What do they feel? What do they now believe about themselves? Finally, design the bridge. This is your framework, your process, your unique approach to getting them there. It doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to work. Think of Couch to 5,000. It takes non-runners and, in a matter of weeks, transforms them into people who can finish a 5,000. Clear starting point, defined end goal, guided steps. That's what people pay for, a structured, believable transformation. Whether you're selling coaching, software, a product, or content, the principle stays the same: take someone from stuck to free. And don't forget emotion. Transformation isn't just functional, it's felt. It's the moment someone looks in the mirror and sees progress. It's the feeling of control, peace, confidence, or pride. The more emotionally resonant the transformation, the more magnetic your offer becomes. People want to feel something different. If you can help them feel that sooner, you win. Mike didn't change what he built. He changed how he framed it. "I don't just build websites," he now says. "I build trust platforms. When someone lands on your site, they feel like you're the only one who gets them. And that's what makes them call." That simple reframing more than doubled his income. Same skill, same work, clearer transformation. Don't just build something useful. Build something that turns your audience into who they want to become. People pay for transformation, not features. Clarity of before-after is the foundation of value. Emotionally resonant outcomes drive trust and sales. What transformation does your idea offer? What is your audience's before, and what do they look and feel like after? Write a one-sentence transformation promise using this format. I help who go from problem state to desired state by your method. Chapter 4. The minimum valuable thing. When Aisha decided to launch her wellness brand, she had a vision, meal plans, custom supplements, guided meditations, a sleek app, weekly coaching, the full experience. She spent 6 months building. When she finally launched, the response was silence. She was crushed. Later, after speaking with a few potential customers, she realized something painful. Her audience didn't want everything. They wanted one thing: help with lunch. Just lunch. That was their struggle every day, not the supplement stack. not the app, just lunch. Perfection had buried her value. Most creators think big. That's good. But big can get in the way of real. When we chase the perfect version of our idea, we delay what matters most, getting it into someone's hands, not the final product. The first version that actually helps. This is your minimum valuable thing. You've probably heard of a minimum viable product, or MVP. That's startup language for the smallest version of a product you can build to begin learning from users. But viable isn't always valuable. Viable might mean it works. Valuable means it matters. And those aren't always the same. Your minimum valuable thing is the smallest, simplest version of your idea that creates meaningful change for your audience. It's not a sample. It's not a teaser. It delivers real results, just on a smaller scale. It doesn't promise everything. It proves something, that what you're building actually helps. Launching with your MVP gets you into the game early. It cuts through analysis paralysis. It lets you earn trust, gather feedback, and most importantly, generate income. You learn what resonates before you've sunk months or years into building a masterpiece nobody asked for. But be careful, simple doesn't mean sloppy. Your MVP must still feel intentional, focused, and useful. It should solve a real problem or deliver a real result. A one-page guide. A 3-day challenge. A 20-minute consultation. A digital tool that solves one specific task. That's all it takes. If someone can use it today and feel progress, it's valuable. Aisha went back to the drawing board. She scrapped the full program and launched a one-page PDF called 5 Healthy Lunches for Busy Women. No branding. No bells and whistles. Just 5 quick meals. She shared it in one Facebook group. In a week, it had 700 downloads. That single PDF led to a $49 meal prep mini course, which then became the foundation of her entire business. The MVP unlocked everything. Waiting to launch until your idea is ready often masks fear. We fear judgment, failure, or rejection. So we polish and tweak and overbuild, convincing ourselves we're making it better. But perfection is a stalling tactic. Your audience isn't waiting for perfect, they're waiting for helpful. So give them something, then listen. Every iteration starts with a first step. The faster you ship something valuable, the faster you learn what to fix, improve, or expand. Your MVP isn't the final word. It's the starting signal. Your idea is like a match. It only lights up when struck. Build your MVP. Strike the match. Your MVP is the smallest version of your idea that delivers real value. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for useful, specific, and immediate. Launch early to learn early. Momentum matters more than polish. What's one small, focused version of your idea that could help someone today, not next month, not next year? Build and share your MVP with 5 real people in your target audience. Ask one question. Did this help you? Then listen and take notes. Chapter 5. Launch ugly, learn fast. Jared had rewritten his sales page 11 times. Each time, he changed the font, the colors, the headlines. He tweaked his copy until it was perfect, or so he thought. When he finally launched, barely anyone clicked. Not because of the colors or the font, but because the offer itself missed the mark. Jared spent months polishing something no one wanted. His delay wasn't about excellence. It was about fear dressed up as preparation. This is where most creators get stuck. The fear of launching something imperfect keeps them from launching anything at all. But the market doesn't reward polish, it rewards usefulness, it rewards momentum. The people who win aren't the ones with the prettiest packaging, they're the ones who ship, learn, and adapt. They launch ugly and learn fast. The truth is, your first version won't be perfect. It won't have the right words, the perfect pitch, or the smoothest delivery. That's fine. Because your goal isn't to get everything right, it's to get real-world feedback. And you can't get that sitting in isolation with your idea. You have to put it in front of people and see what happens. That's where the real growth starts. Launching ugly doesn't mean careless. It means intentional imperfection. It means getting your idea out in the world before you've overthought it to death. The sooner it's real, the sooner you'll know what needs fixing. You stop guessing and start learning. Start with a test offer, a short email, a direct message, a post that says, "I'm working on something for Problem: would this help you? Don't wait for perfect branding or an automated funnel. Start by being human. Real conversations lead to real data. Some of the most successful products and services began with a scrappy landing page, a hand-written outline, or a simple Google Doc. Their creators weren't trying to impress, they were trying to learn what resonates, what's confusing, what makes people say, "Take my money." That's the feedback that shapes your next version. And here's the kicker: people love being part of something early. When you share the behind the scenes, the messy middle, the "this is still a work in progress" honesty, it builds trust. People root for you. They want to help you shape the thing they'll eventually buy. Transparency isn't weakness. It's a magnetic force. The longer you wait, the more you build in the dark. The more you polish, the more attached you become to the version in your head, and the harder it is to let go of what's not working. But when you launch early, you build in the light, or you co-create. You stay flexible. And flexibility leads to relevance. Jared didn't need the 12th version of his sales page. He needed 10 conversations with potential customers. Once he had them, everything changed. He rewrote the offer using their words. He repositioned the benefits based on what they actually cared about. The next version wasn't prettier, it was clearer, and clarity sells. So here's your challenge: launch before you're ready. Make it real before it's perfect. You're not trying to impress, you're trying to connect. And that only happens when you ship. Launching early builds momentum and generates real feedback. Perfection delays learning and hides fear. Clarity and connection matter more than polish or design. What are you currently perfecting instead of launching? What's one fear hiding behind your need to get it right? Post or send a rough version of your offer to 5 people today. Don't ask for praise, ask, does this make sense, and would it help you? Chapter 6: Feedback is a goldmine. When Lena launched her digital planner, she expected excitement. Instead, she got silence. A few clicks, fewer sales. Disappointed, she almost gave up, until she emailed her list with a simple question: what's missing? Within hours, replies poured in. People loved the idea but wanted it printable. Others needed integration with their calendars. One woman wrote, "I wish there was a section for tracking my mood." That one comment sparked a redesign. 2 weeks later, Lena relaunched. Sales tripled. Feedback changed everything. The market will tell you what it wants, but only if you're listening. Most creators resist feedback because it feels like judgment. It threatens the version of the idea they've fallen in love with. But value creation is not about being right, it's about being relevant. And relevance is discovered, not assumed. The moment you put something into the world, it stops being yours alone. It becomes a shared conversation between you and the people you want to serve. Every comment, question, hesitation, or complaint is a clue, a breadcrumb. Ignore it, and you walk blind. Follow it, and you build something that sticks. Not all feedback is equal. Some is noise, vague, emotional, or unhelpful. But hidden within the noise are signals, patterns, repeated frustrations, shared desires. Your job is to separate signal from noise. Don't obsess over the loudest voices. Look for trends. If 3 people say the same thing using different words, pay attention, that's data. Ask questions that invite insight. Instead of "do you like it?" ask, "what part felt confusing?" or "what would make this more useful for you?" Give people permission to be honest. You're not fishing for compliments, you're mining for clarity. The best feedback often comes from watching, not asking. Observe how people interact with your product or message. Where do they pause? Where do they drop off? What do they highlight or share? Behavior is the most honest feedback of all. People vote with their attention and their actions. Track it. Feedback isn't just about fixing flaws. It's about discovering hidden value. Sometimes people will tell you what they love most, something you thought was minor. Highlight that. Double down on it. Other times, they'll ask for something you hadn't even considered. That's not criticism. That's collaboration. Let them help you build what they actually want. Creators who treat feedback as gold don't just improve, they evolve. They stay connected. They stay humble. And humility is a superpower. It keeps you open, curious, adaptable. In a world that changes fast, those qualities aren't optional. They're survival tools. Lena didn't just collect feedback, she implemented it quickly. That speed made her customers feel seen, it turned skeptics into superfans. Because when people know you're listening, they engage more, they root for you, and they stick around. Your ego may resist this. That's natural. But income doesn't flow to the proud, it flows to the tuned in. Those who create with their audience, not just for them. So if your idea isn't gaining traction, don't retreat, listen louder. The answers are already there, hiding in the inbox, the comments, the conversations you haven't had yet. Feedback is not failure, it's direction. It's the fastest, cheapest, and most powerful tool you have to create something that actually works. Feedback reveals what your audience truly wants, not what you assume. Look for patterns, not one-off opinions. Implementing feedback builds trust, loyalty, and sharper offers. How often do you invite honest feedback, and how open are you to changing based on what you hear? Send one email or message today, asking your audience a simple question: what would make this more useful for you? Then listen without defensiveness. Chapter 7. Iterate or Die. Blockbuster once had the chance to buy Netflix for $50 million. They laughed and passed. A few years later, Netflix was worth billions, and Blockbuster was bankrupt. It wasn't bad luck, it was resistance to change. They clung to what used to work while the world moved on. They died not because they failed once, but because they failed to evolve. In today's world, relevance has a short shelf life. What solves a problem today may feel outdated tomorrow. That's why iteration isn't just a business strategy, it's survival. You don't get to create value once and rest. You have to keep creating it, again and again, as the needs, behaviors, and expectations of your audience evolve. The beauty of iteration is that it doesn't require a total reinvention. It means taking what works and making it better. It means trimming what doesn't. It means listening, adjusting, testing, and repeating. Great products, offers, and ideas are never one and done. They're living organisms. They breathe, shift, and grow. But iteration takes humility. You have to be willing to admit that your first, second, or even fifth version isn't perfect. That's not failure, it's progress. The best creators treat their work like software, always in beta, always open to improvement. Start by asking one powerful question: what's missing? Not from your perspective, but from your audience's. What are they still struggling with? Where are they getting stuck? What's confusing or underwhelming? You won't know unless you ask, or better, observe. Look at usage data, behavior patterns, and responses. Sometimes, the answers are hiding in what people aren't saying. A lack of engagement is a loud message. Next, decide what to improve and how. Not all feedback warrants action. But when you see patterns, take them seriously. Maybe your pricing doesn't reflect the value. Maybe your design feels clunky. Maybe your messaging is unclear. Pick one piece to refine. Small, targeted improvements often lead to big results. Then, test. Launch a new version. Measure response. And repeat. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. Each iteration brings you closer to what your audience truly wants. Each one earns you more trust, more loyalty, more income. Iteration also keeps you ahead of the curve. While others cling to what worked last year, you're tuned into what works now. That agility is a massive advantage. It makes you resilient in a fast-changing world. It turns your idea from a one-time hit into a long-term asset. Take Zara, the global fashion retailer. They don't create seasonal lines a year in advance. They watch what customers buy today, adjust designs weekly, and update stores with new inventory constantly. That's iteration at scale, and it's made them a billion-dollar brand. You may not be building a fashion empire, but the principle holds. Whether you're selling a digital product, a coaching service, or a physical item, the path to growth is paved with iteration, small upgrades, frequent feedback, relentless curiosity. Stagnation is the silent killer. The moment you stop evolving, you start fading. But if you keep asking, improving, and reimagining, your idea doesn't just stay alive, it gets sharper, stronger, more aligned, and more profitable. The ones who win aren't always the most creative, they're the most responsive. Iteration keeps your idea relevant, useful, and profitable. Stagnation comes from resisting change, progress comes from embracing it. Even small improvements can unlock major growth when done consistently. What part of your offer or idea hasn't changed in a while, and is it still truly serving your audience? Choose one feature, message, or process to improve this week. Make a small change, release it, and track what happens. Chapter 8. Falling in love with the problem. Brian spent 8 months building a productivity app. It tracked time, blocked distractions, and gave motivational quotes. He was proud of it. Sleek, intuitive, and feature-rich. But when he tried to market it, he hit a wall. Downloads were low, engagement was worse, and feedback was lukewarm. He kept tweaking the interface, adjusting colors, and adding bells and whistles. Nothing helped. Then one user sent a short message. "Honestly, I don't need another timer. I just need help starting." That one sentence changed everything. Brian had fallen in love with his solution, not the problem. He built what he thought people needed instead of digging into what they actually struggled with. The result? A polished product no one truly wanted. This happens constantly. Creators get attached to their ideas and start designing in a vacuum. They obsess over features, branding, and marketing tactics, all while drifting further from the actual pain point. The longer this goes on, the harder it is to pivot. Pride sets in. Tunnel vision takes over, and eventually, so does disappointment. Falling in love with the problem flips the script. It shifts your focus from proving yourself to serving others. Instead of asking, "How do I make my idea work?" you ask, "What does my audience need most?" That question changes the entire creative process. It turns you into an investigator, a listener, a translator of real pain into real value. The best businesses, products, and services weren't born from brilliant ideas. They were born from deep empathy. They started with someone noticing a recurring frustration or unmet desire and caring enough to solve it. Airbnb didn't start as a platform. It started when two broke guys noticed that all the hotels were booked during a big conference. They solved a temporary problem, then realized how massive it was. That's how value scales, not from genius, but from service. To fall in love with the problem, you have to get close to it, talk to real people. Ask open-ended questions. Don't lead the conversation, listen. What's frustrating? What have they tried that hasn't worked? What do they wish existed? When do they feel stuck? What would a good day look like? Their answers are your roadmap. It also means you stop assuming. Just because a problem exists doesn't mean you know how people experience it. Two people can struggle with the same issue for completely different reasons. Understanding the root cause, not just the symptoms, is what allows you to craft solutions that resonate. Brian went back to his users and dug deeper. He discovered that his audience wasn't struggling with time, they were overwhelmed by decisions. They didn't need motivation. They needed clarity. So he stripped his app down to one core function, helping people choose their most important task and commit to it for 20 minutes. Simple, focused, and it worked. Engagement doubled, reviews rolled in. He finally built something that solved the right problem. Falling in love with the problem keeps you agile. It prevents you from becoming too attached to your first draft. And it reminds you that you're not the hero, your audience is. You're just helping them get unstuck. Let go of being right. Be curious instead. Obsess not over your brilliance but over their struggle. That's where real impact and real income begins. Obsession with your idea can blind you to your audience's real needs. The best solutions come from deep understanding of real problems. Curiosity and empathy are more valuable than cleverness. What problem are you solving, and how deeply do you understand the emotions and frustrations behind it? Schedule one conversation this week with someone in your target audience. Ask them to describe a recent moment of frustration related to your topic. Just listen. Chapter 9. The Truth About Value. Two friends open lemonade stands on the same street. One charges 50 cents. The other charges $3. The first uses powdered mix and plastic cups. The second uses fresh lemons, glass jars, and adds mint. People walk past the cheaper stand and line up at the expensive one. Why? Because value isn't just what something is, it's how it's experienced. This is where many creators get confused. They think value is about effort, size, or even price, but value isn't what you say it is. Value is what your audience believes it is. It lives in perception, usefulness, and context. You can spend months building a product or writing a book, but if your audience doesn't see how it helps them, they won't care. On the other hand, a single PDF that solves a burning issue can feel priceless. To create income, you have to stop thinking like a builder and start thinking like a translator. Your job isn't to show how much work you did, it's to show how it improves someone's life. The more clearly you connect your idea to a felt benefit, the more valuable it becomes. That connection is everything. Think of value like a bridge. On one side is your audience's current state, stuck, confused, or longing for something more. On the other side is their desired state, clear, capable, confident, relieved. Your idea is the bridge, but only if it feels like a safe, believable path. If it's too confusing, too abstract, or too generic, they won't cross. They'll scroll. They'll hesitate. They'll forget. Specificity creates trust. When someone reads your offer and thinks, "That's exactly what I need," they don't need convincing. They already believe in the value. Your job is to make that moment happen more often. That starts with understanding how your audience defines progress. Not how you define it. How they do. What would make them say, "This changed things for me"? It's also why emotion plays such a powerful role. Value isn't just logic, it's felt. A budgeting app doesn't just organize money. It gives peace of mind. A fitness coach doesn't just teach workouts, they restore confidence. A parenting guide doesn't just offer strategies, it reduces guilt. People pay for how something makes them feel. If your idea can deliver a clear emotional shift, it becomes exponentially more valuable. Sometimes creators worry about charging for their work. They feel guilty. They think, "This is so simple, who would pay for this?" But simplicity doesn't mean low value. In fact, people often pay more for simplicity. The clearer the result, the more urgent the outcome, the higher the value. You're not selling time or complexity, you're selling outcomes. Transformation. The key is to match your offer to what your audience already wants. You don't have to invent the need. You have to tap into it, name it, and guide people towards solving it. That's value. That's what turns ideas into income. The lemonade stand that charged $3 didn't just sell a drink, it sold a moment. A sense of care. A touch of luxury. That's the truth about value. It's not just about what you make. It's about what it means to the person you made it for. Value is defined by the audience, not the creator. Emotional impact and usefulness determine what people pay for. Specific, clear outcomes feel more valuable than abstract promises. How does your idea make your audience's life better? And are you communicating that clearly enough? Ask 5 people in your audience what result they most want from a solution like yours. Use their language to reframe how you describe your offer. Chapter 10. The spark isn't enough. Eli was struck by an idea during a long drive home, a marketplace that connected small-town artisans with urban buyers. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. He could see the logo, imagine the website, even picture the success story being told one day on a podcast. For weeks he couldn't stop thinking about it. He bought the domain, sketched the branding, and told his friends. But 6 months later, there was still no website, no listings, no sales, just a spark and a growing sense of frustration. A great idea feels powerful. It lights us up, fills our notebooks, and gives us a rush of purpose. But that feeling can be misleading. Because a spark is not a business. A spark is not value. And a spark, without execution, burns out fast. This is one of the biggest traps for creators. We mistake inspiration for progress. We assume that because something feels exciting, it must be valuable. But excitement is internal. Income is external. The gap between those two things is filled with action. Ideas are abundant. Execution is rare, and the people who succeed are not always the most creative. They're the most committed to making their ideas real, messy, imperfect, and useful. They understand that the spark is just the beginning. The work starts when you begin shaping that spark into something someone else can use. Execution begins with a shift in mindset. From daydreamer to builder, you stop asking, "Is this a good idea?" and start asking, "Who needs this, and how fast can I help them?" That question grounds you in reality. It pushes you to act, test, learn, and refine. It moves your focus from excitement to impact. Many creators delay because they believe their idea needs more time, more polish, or more preparation. But in reality, they're avoiding the discomfort of action. Execution is humbling. It exposes what you don't know. It puts your assumptions to the test. But it's also the only place where clarity lives. You can't think your way into certainty, you have to build your way into it. The spark is romantic. Execution is routine. It's calendar blocks, draft documents, emails, feedback loops, and course corrections. It's showing up when the excitement fades. But that's what turns your idea into income. Consistency, not charisma. Eli eventually realized that no one would validate his idea for him. He built a simple prototype, a one-page site listing 3 artisans from his hometown. He shared it in a local Facebook group. Within a week, he had 10 orders. That was the moment things shifted. Not because of a logo or a pitch deck, but because he acted. He turned a spark into something tangible. That's when momentum began. Every idea, no matter how brilliant, has a half-life. The longer you wait to act, the more it fades. Don't let your idea die in your mind. Give it oxygen. Give it form. Take the smallest next step, and watch what happens. You don't need more inspiration. You need more movement. The spark is the gift. What you do with it is your responsibility. Inspiration is only the starting line. Execution is what creates value. The faster you test your idea, the faster you gain clarity and momentum. Don't wait for validation. Build your way into feedback and results. What idea have you been sitting on, and what's one action you can take today to begin making it real? Choose one small part of your idea and bring it into the world, an outline, a message, a test version. Don't wait. Act. Chapter 11. Don't build, translate. Naomi had a powerful story. She'd overcome years of burnout to build a calm, profitable freelance business. She wanted to help others do the same, so she started building an online course. It covered everything: boundaries, pricing, time blocking, client management. The modules were long, detailed, and beautifully produced, but when she launched, few people bought. She was shocked. This is exactly what they need, she thought, but that was the problem. She had built what made sense to her, not what made sense to them. When you're too close to your own idea, you forget what it feels like to be on the outside of it. You start using your language, your logic, your lens. But your audience isn't in your world yet. They're still in their problem. They don't want a course. They want relief. They want momentum. They want clarity. Your job isn't to build from your expertise. It's to translate that expertise into something they instantly recognize as useful. This is the shift most creators miss. They build, but they don't translate. Translation means taking your complex, layered insight and expressing it in your audience's language. It means showing them, in terms they already understand, how what you've created connects to what they're feeling. That might mean dropping jargon. It might mean changing the format. It might mean focusing less on the process and more on the result. It almost always means listening more before you build. Because translation isn't invention, it's interpretation. You're taking what's already in your head and making it legible, desirable, and relevant. Ask yourself, if someone knew nothing about me or my idea, would they immediately understand what problem this solves and why it matters? If not, you're still building. You haven't translated yet. Naomi went back to her audience and asked one question. What's your biggest frustration as a freelancer right now? The answers surprised her. It wasn't pricing or productivity, it was anxiety, fear of saying no, guilt around setting boundaries, the emotional cost of constantly being on, so she reframed her course. Same content, new focus, calm clients. How to run a freelance business without losing your mind, that tagline alone doubled her sales. She didn't change what she knew. She changed how she framed it. Good translators don't just transmit information, they create understanding. They build trust. And trust leads to action. Your audience doesn't need more information, they need relevance. They need resonance. They need to feel like you get them, before they care what you've built. Think of a translator at the United Nations. Their job isn't just to repeat words in a new language, it's to preserve meaning, tone, emotion, context. That's what you're doing as a creator. You're bridging the gap between your internal clarity and their external confusion. This takes empathy, not ego. You have to let go of your attachment to the way you think it should be. You have to see the idea from the outside, from the eyes of someone struggling, unsure, skeptical, or overwhelmed. When you do, you stop trying to prove yourself and start becoming useful. The best builders are quiet translators. They make complexity feel simple. They make expertise feel personal, and they turn what they know into what others need. Don't just build what makes sense to you, translate it into what makes sense to your audience. Clear, relatable framing beats detailed features every time. Empathy-driven translation creates trust and unlocks action. Where are you assuming your audience understands something you haven't clearly translated? Take one part of your offer and reword it using the exact phrases your audience uses to describe their struggles. Then share it and watch how they respond. Chapter 12. From Idea to Income, Again and Again. Tasha launched a digital planner for side hustlers. It did well, better than she expected. She made a few $1,000s in the first month. Encouraged, she started building again. This time, it was a course on time management, then a toolkit for client onboarding, then a group coaching offer. Each time, she went through the same process: understand the pain, design the transformation, launch small, collect feedback, iterate, and refine. Within a year, her side hustle became her full-time income. Her secret wasn't a single brilliant idea. It was a repeatable system. Most people treat value creation like a one-time event. They wait for inspiration to strike, pour themselves into a single project, and hope it hits. If it doesn't, they stall. If it does, they freeze, afraid to break what worked. But the real power lies in building a cycle you can return to, again and again. A process that turns sparks into outcomes, ideas into income, without starting from scratch every time. This book hasn't just taught you how to create one offer. It's given you a method, a repeatable rhythm, one that scales with you, grows with your skills, and deepens as your understanding sharpens. That method rests on 3 pillars: empathy, clarity, and action. Empathy means you stay close to the problem. You keep listening. You never assume. You fall in love not with your solution, but with the people you're helping. That keeps your work relevant. It grounds your creativity in service. And it ensures you're always solving a real need, not chasing your own reflection. Clarity keeps your message strong. It forces you to simplify, to speak your audience's language, to guide them from pain to possibility without confusion or fluff. When you're clear, you earn trust. When you're trusted, people listen, buy, and return. Action is what brings everything to life. Nothing changes until something ships. The more often you create, test, and adapt, the more skilled you become, not just as a maker, but as a translator of value. Every launch is a lesson. Every offer is a draft, and every failure is feedback pointing you towards something better. The beauty of this approach is that it compounds. Your first offer teaches you how to listen. Your second teaches you how to adapt. Your third shows you how to scale. By your fourth, you're no longer just a creator. You're a system. Ideas don't feel overwhelming anymore. They feel like opportunities waiting to be shaped. Tasha didn't reinvent herself with every new project. She simply cycled through the same steps with more insight, more speed, and more confidence. Her audience grew. Her income grew. But most importantly, her sense of agency grew. She no longer waited for the perfect idea. She picked a problem, translated a solution, and made it real. That's your power now. You have a framework, a path. You've learned how to move from idea to income, not through luck, but through alignment. When you know who you're helping, how you're helping them, and how to test and evolve what you build, you don't need to guess. You just need to do the work. So the next time an idea hits you, and it will, don't ask if it's good, ask if it's needed. Ask who it's for. Ask how you'll know if it's working. Then begin. Messy, small, fast. Because that's where value lives. That's where income starts. That's how you do it again, and again. Mayan. Sustainable success comes from a repeatable value creation process. Empathy, clarity, and action turn ideas into results. You don't need more ideas. You need to work the process more often. What's one new problem your audience is facing right now, and how could you help solve it using this framework? Start your next cycle, pick one idea, define the pain, design the transformation, and sketch your minimum valuable thing today. Take care and be well.